Time is reserved. Gentleman from Oklahoma.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to begin by thanking my good friend from Massachusetts for his leadership of the Rules Committee over the last 4 years. While we certainly haven't always agreed, we've tried to always be agreeable working with one another. And I certainly associate myself with his remarks about the terrific work of the staff on both sides of the aisle for helping us facilitate the operation of the House over that 4-year period. I look forward again to working with my friend in the years ahead. Mr. Speaker, I rise today to offer the rules resolution that will govern the House during the 118th Congress. Determining the rules we will follow is one of the first and most consequential decisions we must make as a body at the beginning of each Congress. In many ways, the rules of the House of Representatives serve to demonstrate where our priorities and our values lie as an institution. And make no mistake, the priorities of the new Republican majority are fully on display in this resolution. First and foremost, Mr. Speaker, we're taking action to reopen the People's House and to ensure that we, the people, elected servants, are here in Washington, D.C., doing our jobs. For far too long, the House allowed members to do their jobs from home without ever setting foot in Washington. What started out as a pandemic accommodation lasted far longer than necessary. But today, even President Biden admits that the pandemic is over. It's time for the House of Representatives to return to our normal operating procedures, and it's time for the members of Congress to actually show up to work. Today's rule package eliminates proxy voting and puts an end to remote committee proceedings. We restore the requirement for committees to establish plans for how they will conduct much-needed oversight. Republicans have robust plans to ensure that we will hold the Biden administration accountable for its actions. But being a counterbalance to the administration will not stop there. With today's rule package, we will also establish a new select subcommittee modeled on the Church Committee to investigate the radical left's weaponization of the federal government in recent years. We will also modify the jurisdiction of the Select Subcommittee on the coronavirus pandemic to ensure we investigate the origins of the virus and finally look into the financial and societal impacts of shutdowns. And we will establish a Select Committee on strategic competition between the United States and the Chinese Communist Party to respond to threats posed by the CCP, ensure economic competitiveness for America, and protect human rights. Other important changes in this resolution are those that are designed to address our out-of-control spending problem, which the former majority made vastly worse last Congress. In fact, when Democrats were in control of this chamber, they spent so much money through partisan bills that they managed to drive this country into an inflationary crisis. But those aren't my words. Those are the words of former Clinton Treasury Secretary Larry Summers. The American people elected Republicans to get our fiscal house in order, and get our fiscal house in order we will. That starts with making key changes to House rules to ensure we still will instill some fiscal sanity in Congress. These changes reflect a return to budgetary rules that were in place for over a decade before Democrats removed them. We will restore the cut-go rule, which requires us to offset any increase in mandatory spending with a corresponding cut in mandatory spending. No more will the House be able to use budget gimmicks and tricks to pretend increases in mandatory spending are paid for when they actually are not. We will restore a requirement for 3/5 majority to approve any tax rate increase. If this rule had been in place, the House would not have passed the massive tax increases the Democrats included in last year's reconciliation bill. We will eliminate the so-called Gephardt rule, which allows the House to automatically suspend the debt ceiling upon passage of a budget resolution. Just as the American people have to live within their means, so too should the federal government. Automatically suspending the debt limit may be the easy and expedient way, but no matter as important as the national debt limit, what is easy and expedient is hardly appropriate. The American people expect us to make a decision on the national debt limit only after full and fair consideration and debate in the House. That starts with ensuring it will receive a separate standalone vote on the floor. Finally, we will remove the rule that allowed Democrats to simply ignore budget estimates for bills dealing with the COVID pandemic or climate change. Though it may sound controversial to my friends on the other side of the aisle, Republicans cannot and will not thrust our heads in the sand and ignore the effects of out-of-control federal spending. Mr. Speaker, I could go on and on, but on the whole, I am very proud of today's rules package. It reflects Republican priorities and priorities of the voters who elected us. It reopens this institution and ensures that all members will be in Washington to do their work as our constituents expect. It ensures that we will hold the Biden administration and the Chinese Communist Party accountable, and it ensures that we will get our fiscal house in order. I urge all members to support the rules package, and I reserve the balance of my time.
Gentleman's time is reserved. Gentleman from Massachusetts.